All right, you just upgraded to Photoshop 2020 or whatever version, and you're looking for your plugins and presets, all your brushes, all those things. How do we sync those? How do we get them into that new version of Photoshop from the old one? I'm going to show you exactly how. So to me, it's a little bit like moving house, which is probably close to the thing I dislike the most. You've got to load all your possessions, everything into a truck, move the truck to a new location, unload everything, and then set it up. Although the setting up part can be kind of fun. So we're going to do the same thing here inside of Photoshop. We've got brushes, actions, presets, we've got plugins. How do you get those from one version of Photoshop into the other? So we're going to be looking here at Photoshop 2020 and bring everything in. Now, if this is in the future, and you're in a newer version, Photoshop 2021, it's still gonna work the same way. All right, let's have a look right now. So here we are. If this case has been any question, Photoshop 2020 and Photoshop CC 2019 can definitely run at the same time. So the first thing, when you go to install that upgrade, you have two options when you go to upgrade. One of them is to copy over preferences, presets, and the other one is to remove the older version. Now, if you chose to copy over all those presets, some of these steps are actually going to be already done for you. If you chose not to do that, then don't worry, I've got you covered. The second thing is removing the old version. Do not remove the old version if you can help it until you're sure you're finished with it. So I always keep a previous version of Photoshop running. In fact, I've still got 2018, 2019, and 2020 on this machine. All right, so let's have a look here at some different things. If we go up under the edit menu and you go down to presets, you're going to see three options here: preset manager, migrate presets, import, export presets. Right now we're in CC 2019. It's the same if we go to 2020. Let's have a look. Okay, so if we choose edit presets and then we go to migrate presets, this is the equivalent of having that option, when you check that box, please move all my presets and preferences in here. So this is the equivalent of doing it after the fact. So if I click here, it's going to say, hey, do you want to bring them in from Photoshop CC 2019? Yes, I do. And now it's migrated some of my presets. So a lot of my presets are going to be in here. So if we go to Photoshop CC 2020 and we click in here, notice the object selection tool is now gone since we've updated it. In fact, all the new tools are gone. And that's because when we updated those settings, it took the workspace settings from the old version. So if we click and hold, choose edit toolbar, and you'll notice the frame tool, the new updated frame tool, and the object selection are missing. Choose restore defaults, click done. Now our toolbar is set up. All right, so we've got a lot of our stuff in here, and I'm sure some of our brushes and everything will probably come through. The other thing you want to do is go up under here and choose legacy brushes, and that will restore our brushes we had before. You can see all of those are in there. Let's open up some windows here. Okay, I've opened up some different panels here in 2020 so we can have a look and see what's happening. If we look under our shapes, okay, so here's something you need to do on all of these is go down here and choose legacy shapes and more. And if we pop this open, you know what, there are some custom shapes that I made in here, and such as this thumbs up, and notice that that's come through. So that import actually did work. Let me just pop that down. And then same with a lot of these different things. We've got our styles. We can go in here, legacy styles and more, of course. We can go into our 2019 styles and, have a look in there and see what's in there. All legacy styles. Hit the control key to pop all of these open. And you can go through and see what you've got and what you don't have. All right, so essentially what you want to do is go through and make sure you enable all the legacies. Then let's go back to our edit again. And we're going to go back down to our presets. Now we're looking at our preset manager. And here's the thing. Inside of 2020, our preset manager is very skimpy. All it has is contours and tools now. And this is our tool presets, etc. And the reason for that is because a lot of these now are going to be loaded up through these individual panels. So there's a panel for each preset. Let's go back to Photoshop CC 2019. If we go up under here and we choose edit preset, we have the preset manager. And under the preset manager, we have all of these different categories. And so this is where we manage our presets. This is our brushes, swashes, blah, blah, blah. And under here, notice here's my brushes set, my custom brushes. And I definitely want to get these into the new version of Photoshop. Okay, so here's what I can do is I can either load these in here, which is what we did in the past. These are other brushes that I've created or found on the internet. These are brushes sets that I've been using for years. And so if I want to save a set, I'm going to click Save Set. Now, if you look at these, you'll notice I created these under Dropbox. You can click on Creative Cloud here. You'll see there's an option here for Photoshop. And you've got brushes. You could save them under there. And that will be available to all of your apps that are logged into CC. You can go into that folder and grab it. Now, I've been saving mine on Dropbox for a long time. And if you look under here under Photoshop, I've got all kinds of things. I've got actions, brushes, layer styles. I save all of these under Dropbox because that way, if Adobe changes anything or updates anything, I know where all of these are. If Adobe in the future decides to update some paths and things with the Creative Cloud, I don't want to risk having these presets locked in there. So I like to create them in Dropbox and also save them onto an external drive as a backup. And so then this way I can go in here, and if I want to save my brushes, I'm going to go under my brushes here that I've just created this folder, and I'm going to call it Colin 2019, just so we know that's what it's called, and then click Done. So I can do the same with any of these things. I can go through my styles. You know, I don't really have any custom styles in here, so it doesn't matter. But I could go through and I could save these shapes, the custom shapes, which are now just called shapes. And you'll notice there's a thumbs up, but that came through. A lot of these are going to come through when you do that migration. But here's what you can do with your preset manager. I still recommend that you go in here and export each one of these. Now, in Photoshop 2020, so under the patterns, why don't we just bring up my legacy patterns quickly? We'll bring those in. Okay, so maybe I've got some, custom patterns that I've created in here. Let's have a look. And yep, there they are. There's my custom ones. They came through. But if I want to save these as a set, I could select these, and then I could go up under here and I could choose to export selected patterns. And then once again, it's going to automatically go into the Photoshop folder. I don't want to put it into the folder. I want to save this into my Dropbox folder. So I'm going to go under here and I'm going to look under patterns, and I'm going to call this mini set because there's only a few. And then what happens once I've done this, I'm going to have these saved for all time. Okay, so let's have a look. What else do we have under here? Okay, so if I want to export all the presets out of this install of Photoshop, all I need to do is go up under Edit, go to Presets, and then I'm going to go Export Import Presets. Let's go to the Export window, and this shows me the presets that I have on the machine. I don't have a ton, but I have a few on here. So now I can select them and add them here, and only the ones in this export panel will be exported, or I can choose to add all. In this case, I'm going to grab all of them and I'm going to choose Export Presets. Now here's the thing. I'm going to save these out of Photoshop into the cloud. Now you could go into Creative Cloud and you could save it in a folder there in Creative Cloud, or in this case, I've actually just been using Dropbox. And I've just got this little folder here under Photoshop, and I'm just going to create a new folder right now, and I'm going to just call this one Testing Presets. And click on Create. Now, if I click Open, what it's going to do is it's going to export all those presets. Let's see what happened. Here's our Testing Presets folder. Double click it. Exported presets, you'll notice it created a folder for each of the different things that we had here. So we had some guide styles and workspaces. Now, had there been other presets, such as gradients, it would have created a folder for the gradients. In fact, we've got other ones that we have exported previously that are a little bit more full. Let's look under here, and I can see here, this one here, I've got styles and curves and different things that have been exported previously. Okay, so we're going to have a look at bringing this into another machine right now, and we're able to do this all at once, or we can go into the individual ones and just bring in the individual presets, and we'll have a look at both of that. So right now, I'm on a different machine, and I'm going to go back to Edit, and I'm going to go down to Presets, and I'm going to choose to Import Export Presets. Now here's the thing. There's the presets we have. There's not a ton of them there. But if I choose import presets and then I select it, import folder, and then under this import folder, if I go to some Photoshop presets that I've already previously exported and I click open, now look what's in here. So I've got everything here. I've got color swashes, curves, keyboard shortcuts, styles, a lot of different things. A lot of the different presets are going to be able to appear in here. Layer styles, all these things, but not actions. So what I can do is I can choose, hey, you know what? I just want to import this one. So I can choose to add all, and then that will import them all. Or I can say, you know what else do I want? I'll take this curves. I'll take this one here. So I'm going to just click on there. So I want these color swashes, for the skin tone color swashes. I'll take those. I'm not really worried about any of these. Maybe I'll take the Dark City one. That's kind of a cool one. Keyboard shortcuts, I'm good. Some layer styles, definitely. Let's grab those layer styles. In fact, I'm going to grab all my layer styles here. And the workspaces, I'm okay with what I have. So I've been able to select just a subset here. And now I can just choose to import presets. And now I've been able to import these presets from one computer to another. Okay, so if we've gone through here, we've exported our presets, we've exported these, we have everything we need, right? Not quite. The other one is actions. Let's go up under our window. We're going to bring up actions here. And if we look under our actions here, here's our actions, which actually came through fine when I did that import. But once again, if they didn't, or you're working on a different version, so we're just going to go here and we're going to choose Save Actions. Once again, it's going to take me into my Photoshop folder. I'm going to go back to my Dropbox folder. I can go to my Actions folder here, and I've got some ones here. And I could call this one Colin, just test, because this is just a test one. And I'm just going to click Save. All right, done. So now I have backed up everything off of Photoshop CC 2019. Now you will notice under Filter, we've got some plugins. We'll talk about those in a second. Okay, so we've kind of looked at the automated way of doing it here, a semi-automated. I'm now going to show you a manual way of doing it using Dropbox, where we can save all the different presets, and then this will just keeps working with different versions of Photoshop across different machines, which means if you have a machine somewhere else that maybe is using an older version, or you want to load an old preset or whatever, it just kind of gives you manual control over all of your presets. Let's look at that. Okay, so I'm in Photoshop 2020. If I choose Edit, Export, Import Presets. So we go to the Import Presets here. Okay, so I'm going to go into my presets folder that I've saved before, and under these exported presets, there's different ones that we have here. So I'm going to click on Workspaces and then just click on Open, and we can see there's some workspaces that I previously exported from Photoshop. And if I want them all, I'm going to grab them all. So Add All. So I've added them all and click Import Presets. And now if we go up under our workspaces, notice all my different workspaces are there. So these can easily be migrated. Then other things, if we're looking for maybe patterns. So if we click under here, I can go under and I can import patterns. And if I go to my, there's the one under Dropbox there. And there's our patterns. There's the mini set that I created. And I can click Open to bring them in, which, we didn't really need to do because these are the same ones we exported, so they're already here. But just showing you. And then the other thing about actions, if we look under here, we've got under Colin, we've got just, a couple inverted high pass and a frequency separation. So let's bring in the rest of the actions. So let's choose here, and we're just going to go down to Load Actions. Once again, I'm going to go back to this Dropbox folder. Look under Actions, and you can see I've got a bunch of stuff. Why don't I grab my production actions, click Open, and there's my production, which is, I just have crop marks under there right now. Okay, so this works the same for everything. So if we want color swashes, say for example, I want to bring in a set of color swashes I saved, I can just choose here to import swatches, or however you say it. I don't want to go there. I want to go to my Dropbox folder where I saved it. And go into PS presets, exported presets. And if I look under my color swashes, there's my face one for skin tones, click Open, and boom, there it is. It's added in here. So Now those colors are available. So that's going to work pretty much the same for all these different presets. All right, let's talk about plugins for a second. Some things have changed in plugins over the last few years. So one of the things we used to do is we used to always just go under the install folder and look under plugins. In fact, let's do that right now. So here I am, I'm in the applications folder, which would be your programs folder inside of Windows. And then we could open up 2019 or whatever, and then we see plugins. You're going to see the same thing on Windows. Click it open. And all you're going to see in there now is generator, whereas before all our plugins would live here. So what's happened? Okay, so what has happened is with CC, there's now a centralized plugin folder. So what does that mean? Well, it's actually kind of cool. So say, for example, I installed the DxO Nick 2 plugins. And if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments underneath if you want me to do a review on them. But anyway, so I installed those, and I only chose to install it in 2019. But then I launched Photoshop 2020, and boom, those plugins were already there. How did that happen? I'll show you. And what I'm going to do is just go down to my MacBook Pro. I'm going to go all the way down to there to my hard drive. So you're going to do the same thing on Windows, go to your basic location, and I'm going to put the Windows location up there. And then I want to go to library, not the user library, but the main library. And then under the main library, you're going to see application support. And then you're going to see one that says Adobe. So if we double click on Adobe, we're going to go down to one that says plugins. And under plugins, this is where all our plugins are going to live. So here's our ON1. Here is our Nick. So it installs them into a centralized location. Now here's the thing that we did in the past. If we wanted to use one plugin from one program to the other, we could just go into that program folder and then just drag that plugin. We would go to Photoshop, say 2019. I'll open this in a separate window. We'll tear that off so you guys can see it. And then I would also go to Photoshop 2020. Then we'd go to the plugins folder. We'd go under that plugins folder here. And of course, all we have now is generator, but the different plugins would show here. We would select them and drag and drop them into the other application. But now having that shared folder is the equivalent of doing that where you don't have to have a separate plugin folder anymore. Photoshop is just pointing at that one folder. Okay, so here's the thing. If your plugins didn't work with the new version, so either try copying them over, and if they still don't work, unfortunately, you might have to reinstall. Now, there's a couple of things about that, about reinstalling. One is Adobe for a long time now have been recommending when you get a new version, don't just drag those plugins over anymore, because those have been causing a lot of problems, and a lot of the lockups and crashes and freezes in Photoshop have been caused because of that. They recommend that you do it from the installer. So in the past, I know on the Mac, to install a program, all you simply did is just copied it over, and that's how it worked. A program would just be self-contained. But it hasn't worked that way for a long time on the Mac. In fact, in Windows, it never has. There's always been DLL files and different things that need to be installed in order to make applications work. Now, here's the thing with Catalina. There's a big change. It's gone to a completely 64-bit workspace where 32-bit is not supported anymore. So if you're on the Mac and you have any 32-bit filters, they're not going to work. And that's just because Apple has said, you know what, we're cutting the bar off here. 32 is done. We're moving on. Sorry, guys. Enjoy. So if you have things that need to run on 32-bit, then you're going to have to stay on Mojave, or in my case, on some of my machines, I'm still running High Sierra because of support for different things. So these are some of the things that happen as things go on in time and things progress. Things are not always going to work. But typically speaking, if you go in here and your plugins are not working, rerun that installer and you should be good to go. So I really wish I'd been able to give you a magic bullet to fix all the plugin issues, but this is just the facts of life. This is just how things are. If the plugin manufacturers don't update their plugins, they may not work into the future. And we've seen this happen before. Example was Nick. Google eventually gave away the Nick collection, which was amazing. But that also meant they discontinued support, which meant eventually it was going to stop working. And that's just because things moved on and it didn't work anymore. But then DxO recently bought those from Google and have now updated them all and got them all working nicely. And now the new version, which is the Nick Collection 2, is now fully supported on the latest operating systems, and you can get tech support, and I'll make sure that they're working and running. And that's just how things work, guys. So anyway, I know there was a lot of different information in here, and I touched on a lot of different things, kind of hoping to just kind of spray out the information and hit the issues that maybe you've been dealing with your presets, and maybe shining a little bit of light on the weird world of migration, and hopefully it's helping you. If it is, let me know in the comment underneath, and let me know what was useful. And also, if you have other questions, drop them in the comments. And if you guys are watching and you're experts, or you've been using Photoshop for a while, feel free to answer those questions. It's a community, and I really do encourage you guys to chat there inside of those comments. It's not just for me, it's for all of you. It's our community. So anyway, guys, if you like Photoshop and you enjoy tutorials, consider hitting that subscribe button right now. Become part of the Cafe crew. You'll get a new tutorial from me every single week. Ring that notification bell so you know when I upload, which is usually every Tuesday. And if you like this tutorial, smash that like button into dust. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.